which panic was enhanced by the destruction of a second flight of fighting planes. However, the destruction of Bensborough completed civilian demoralization. A newscasting company rebroadcast a private television contact with the town at the moment the wobbly entered it. Practically all the inhabitants of the Atlantic coast heard and saw the annihilation of the town, hearing the cries of gas, and the screams of the people, and hearing the crashings as the wobbly crushed its way inexorably across the city, spreading terror everywhere. Frenzied demands were made upon the government for the recall of troops from the front to offer battle to the wobbly. It is considered that at that time the one wobbly had a military effect equal to at least 500,000 men. Strategic Lessons of the War of 1941-43. U.S. War College. pp. 83-84. They did not enter the town. There was just enough of starlight to show that the wobbly had gone through it, and then crashed back and forth ruthlessly. There was a great gash through the center of the buildings nearest the edge, and there were other gashes visible here and there. Everything was crushed down utterly flat in 2 8-foot paths, and there was a mass of crumbled debris 4 feet high at its highest in between the tread marks. They looked, silently, and went on. They reached a railroad track, the quadruple track of a branch line from New York to Philadelphia. The wobbly was going along that right-of-way. There was no right-of-way left where it had been. Rails were crushed flat. Culverts were broken through. But the horses raced along the smooth tread trails. Once a broken, twisted rail tore at Sergeant Walpole's sleeve. Somehow the last great plate of a tread had bent it upward. Presently they saw a mass of something dark off to the left. Flames were licking meditatively at one of the wrecked cars. Then they heard explosions far ahead. Flames lighted the sky. "Our men in action," said Sergeant Walpole hungrily. He flogged his mount mercilessly. Then the sky became bright in the distance. The horses, going down the crushed smooth trail of the treads, gained upon the din. Then they saw the cause of it, miles distant. A train was burning luridly. Its forepart was wreckage, pure and simple. The rest was going up in flames and detonations. Munitions, of course. The wobbly was off at one side, flamelit and monstrous, sliding smoothly out of sight. 10 miles of railroad, said the copter pilot calmly, mashed out of existence. That's going to scare our people into fits. They can drop eggs till the cows come home, and every egg'll smash up 100 yards of right-of-way, and we can build it back up again in 4 hours with mobile track layers. But 10 miles to be regraded and laid is different. Half of America will be imagining all our railroads smashed and starvation ahead. A piercing light fell upon them. "Shut it off," roared Sergeant Walpole. "D'ye want to get us killed?" He and the copter pilot swerved. There was a car there, a huge 2-wheeled car, whose gyroscopes hummed softly while its driver tried to extract it from something it was tangled in. "I commandeer this car," said the copter pilot. "Military necessity. We have to trail that wobbly." Someone grunted. Lights flashed on within. The copter pilot and Sergeant Walpole stiffened to attention. The stars of a major general shone on the collar of the stout man within. "Beg pardon, sir," said the pilot, and was still. Said the major general. "There seem to be just 4 of us alive, who've seen the thing clearly. I hit on it by accident, I'll admit. What do you know about it?" "It come on a tramp steamer," began Sergeant Walpole. "H.M. You're Sergeant Walpole. Mentioned in dispatches tomorrow, Sergeant." "You, sir?" "Its weapon against our planes, sir," said the copter man precisely, "is a radio beam carrying several thousand horsepower of energy. When it hits iron, sir, the energy is absorbed and the iron heats up and blows up the ship. The wobbly's working with a bomber well aloft, sir, which spots planes from below by picking up their spark plug flashes in a directional loop. The bomber aloft, sir, drops eggs when the wobbly's attacked. Sergeant Walpole reports several planes disabled by their fabric being blown off their wings. I know, said the Major General. Damn it, the front takes every ship that's fit to go aloft. We have only wrecks back here. You're sure about that spark plug affair? Yes, sir, said the copter pilot. My ship crashed, sir. I started the motors again, trying to take off. Eggs began to drop about me instantly. Nasty, said the Major General. I was going to join my men. We've flung a line of artillery ahead of the thing. Motor-driven, of course. But if they can pick up motors by the spark waves, the bomber knows all about it. Nasty. He lit a cigar, calmly. The gyrocar shifted suddenly and backed away from the thing it had been tangled in. Why ain't the bombers been shot down? Demanded Sergeant Walpole angrily. Damn it, sir, if it wasn't for them bombers. Up to an hour ago, said the Major General, we had lost 68 planes trying to get those bombers. You see, it works both ways. The bombers drop eggs to help the wobbly defend itself. And the wobbly uses that power beam you spoke of to wipe the sky clean about the bombers. I wondered how it was done, before you explained, sir. Do you men want to come with me? Get on the running board if you like. We shall probably be killed. The gyrocar purred softly away, with 2 horses left wandering and 2 men clinging fast in a sweep of wind. They found a ribbon of concrete road and the wind sang as the car picked up speed. Then, suddenly, it bucked madly and went out of control, and, as suddenly, was passing along the road again. The wobbly had passed over the roadway here. And then they heard gunfire ahead. Honest, malevolent gunfire. Flashes lit the horizon. The gyrocar speeded up until it fairly hummed, and the wind rushed into the nostrils and mouths of the men on the running boards. The cannonade increased. It reached really respectable proportions, until it became a titanic din. As the road rose up a long incline, a shell burst in mid-air in plain view, and the driver of the gyrocar jammed on the brakes and looked down upon the strangest of sights below. There were other hills yet ahead, and from behind them came that faint, indefinite glow which is the glow of the lights of a city. At the bottom of a valley, a mile and a half distant, there was the wobbly. Starshells flared near it, casting it into intolerable brightness and clear relief. And other shells were breaking upon it and all about it. From beyond the rim of hills came the flashes of guns. The air was full of screamings and many crashes. The wobbly was motionless. It looked more than ever like a monstrous, deadly centipede. It was under a rain of fire that would have shattered a dreadnought of the 1920s. Its monstrous treads were motionless. It seemed queerly quiescent, abstracted. It seemed less defiant of the shellfire that broke upon it like the hail of hell, than indifferent to it. Yes, it seemed indifferent. Only the queer excrescence on its top moved, and that stirred vaguely. Starshells floated overhead and bathed it in pitiless light. And it remained motionless. Sergeant Walpole had a vague impression of colossal detonations taking place miles above his head, but the sound was lost in the drumfire of artillery nearer at hand. Then a gun on the wobbly moved. It spouted a flash of bluish flame, and then another and another. It seemed to fire gas shells into the town, at this moment, ignoring the batteries playing upon it. It was still again, while the queer excrescence on its back moved vaguely and shells burst about it in a very inferno. Then the treads moved, and with a swift celerity the wobbly moved smoothly forward and up the incline toward the cannonading guns. It went over the top of the incline, and those in the gyrocar saw its reception. Guns opened on it at point-blank range. Now the wobbly itself went into action. In the light of star shells and explosions they saw its guns begin to bellow. It went swiftly and malevolently forward, moving with centipedean smoothness. It dipped out of sight. The cannonade lessened. 2 guns stopped. 3. Half a dozen guns were out of action. A dozen guns ceased to fire. One last weapon boomed desperately at its maximum rate of fire. That stopped. The night became strangely, terribly still. The Major General put aside his Radivision receiver. Though neither the helicopter pilot nor Sergeant Walpole had noticed it, he had opened communication the instant the gyrocar came to a stop. Now the Major General was desperately, terribly white. "The artillery is wiped out," he observed detachedly. "The wobbly, it seems, is going on into the town." They did not want to listen, those men who waited futilely by the gyrocar which had witnessed the invulnerability of the wobbly to all attack. They did not want to listen at all. But they heard the noises as the wobbly crashed across the town, and back and forth. "Morale effect," said the Major General, through stiff lips. "That's what it's for. To break down the morale behind the lines. Good God! What hellish things mere words can mean!"